Then there was decision, to leave a secure job in a public sector organization to a corporate private organization. And my father-in-law was very curious to know that why I'm making this shift, because people think that she's a woman, she would like to have a very safe, secure job.
Yeah.
But then I was somebody who would like that if in this organization I'm not making any difference,
Yeah.
or I don't like I had colleagues in that public sector organization who would leave their chashma or spectacles on the table, and they would be away for 2 or 3 hours, and I'll say, and then the person will come back and say, suppose the name is Gopal. Gopal ji, आप कहाँ थे? बोला, I was there. मेरा चश्मा यहाँ पे रखा है, so I was there in office. So these kind of culture you don't like. I didn't like to work in those culture, and so I made this shift, and I was very clear about it that job. One example that I remember now, when I got married, my father-in-law was a great man. He is no more, but I think people who have supported me a lot, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, um, by not interfering. I think if you're not interfering, also it's a big support. And standing whenever being there for me whenever I needed them. Like my son was born, my mother-in-law came to stay with me for a long time. But when I got married, my father-in-law told me that I should change my surname to Jha. My husband is a Jha, and my surname is Bohra. I'm from Uttarakhand. So he said that Jhas are very powerful. They are there in public sector organization. They are there in government organizations and so on. And this surname is very unknown kind of surname. So this will give you a lot of benefit in your life. And I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
I understood what he was saying, but I found that that's a very shortcut way of life. And I said, no, I don't intend to change my surname at all. But then he never discussed it with me later on. He never came back with this point. He just presented it. He was a very open kind of person. If he had something, he would just say that this is your choice. But he came up with that idea, and he was obviously senior to me. He's my father-in-law. So
Hi people, we are from HRVerse and we have Renu Bohra with us. She has 25 years of experience right now and she's currently working with DB Schenker. Right, so I think I will let you introduce herself first and then we'll proceed with the conversation.
First of all, thanks for calling me. And how does one introduce oneself when it has to be unfiltered?
Right.
Yeah, because if you say that you're the CHRO of a German organization, that's a role that you are carrying. And the other day I was in a seminar where they say that you just introduce yourself without talking about the roles that you are doing. And then it was like, who are you?
Yeah.
So, without being philosophical, I would say that, yeah, so I have got more than 2 decades of experience in HR. Landed in HR by default, and it's a different story. But I think if I look back, I can connect all the dots that I had a lot of interest in people and in relationships and how do we use people energy and our individual aspirations that's so different to make an organization around it. And to me even organization is a metaphor, isn't it? Like in the work from home times, in pandemic time rather, we are working from various places, but we all knew that we are in that organization right now, where we are working. And that made me realize that organization is not a workplace, a physical workplace. It's a metaphor that you are carrying back. And even after 8 hours, when you are left the office or switch off your laptop also, you still believe that you are in the organization. So, this field of HR, I have found that it's so interesting. It makes one feel a part of an organization and helps even building the organization. An organization is not about just the product, the offerings, or the capital behind it,
Right.
or the month-on-month MIS. So it is the people who run the organization, and I think it's the HR which binds it together.
Right. So we have seen this transition for people calling CHROs to removing HR, human resources, to people now. So what is the idea behind that?
So I would say that if we see the journey of HR, and HR is a very, I would say, mm, consciously coined term, or coined role. If we see long time back, when post-industrialization, or when big mines were there and they were all private mines, and the condition of workers was so poor, and they were like bonded laborers in all the Western world. Then came the concept of welfare manager. Then came the concept of the estate manager, time office, and somebody has to regulate time office, canteen, vehicle, and so these people came into being, and they were personnel, and then from personnel manager to we came into HR manager, because we found that there's something intrinsic motivation is there besides those physical time, which can be easily seen or visible, and then later on CHRs and so on. But now we have different name, and the word people comes because I think the reason is very simple, and I think it has been overstated that when you use the word resource with human, then it means it has an end. And when we talk about a growth mindset, we believe that human beings are limitless. The way we talk about the red ocean versus blue ocean strategy. In red ocean, you think that you have to kill your competition to survive. While in the case of blue ocean, you believe that you can come with a very different product, and each can have their own existence. So, thinking that people are so unlimited in their ideas, in their opportunities, and in their contribution, and resource is very limited. So I think the word people came into being, and now everywhere we talk about people and talent, or chief people officer, and so on.
Yeah. So when I look at your educational journey, I mean, it has been, I think you have done computers initially, right? And then you have done masters in computers itself. And then how come you landed in HR?
Then psychology, then
psychology.
Yeah, so I think when these questions were asked, I was hiding my education for a long time, because it was as if by default she has come, she is not among us. But the other day I was listening to somebody who was saying that we need to have more engineers in HR. We need to have a lot of diversity in HR in terms of education. Why we have only people who are like maybe a humanities graduate and an MBA in HR, and I sincerely believe in that, and I feel happy that I'm from a different background. But how I landed in HR, I was not planning to be in HR. In those days, maybe my family or the circle in which I was moving, and I have to take full responsibility for that. I was not very clear what I want to do in my life. So I was a very good student. So people said take science. So I took science, and they said try for engineering or medical. And I took both. Like I took bio as well as maths and physics and chemistry. So and I took both examination, and I did not click in any one of them. Then I did my masters in mathematics, and I went to IIT Roorkee for MPhil. And I was very clear that now I have to become, a professor. I cleared my CSI, UGC, NET, and I got JRF, Junior Research Fellowship, for doing my PhD. I published one paper also in International Symposium on fuzzy logic, and then I came to JNU for my PhD from a School of Computer System Sciences, SCSS.
Okay.
And here, when I was studying in JNU, after my MPhil in my PhD and getting my fellowship, I realized that this is not what I want to do. And it was a very late decision, and there were not many, discussion that, you can't give it up like this. But I said, I want to enter into industry. And then I entered into my first organization as a management trainee. And in the management trainee period, I was given a choice that which, after 1 year, which place to work would like to, take. And I took HR. So why I took HR? I think I found it very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it interesting and very, I'm to say, very something which doesn't have any fixed map or fixed framework. You can do many things, but it makes our life very difficult as HR people because since you can do many things and most of the things that you do is through people and not directly, except for the recruitment you do very directly, or maybe if you are a trainer on the ground, on the floor, you are doing it very directly. But otherwise, you are doing everything through people.
Yeah.
And there is where I think the challenge lies with HR, that we don't get that recognition in organization. Because when people do it good, then it is they who have done it.
Right.
Yeah. And if things are not going
Good,
well,
so,
then
yeah,
HR
HR has done it,
the
yeah.
right thing.
I think one of the organization you stayed for just 10 months. So, and rest of the organization you spent 8 years now, 13 years and going. So what did you change the 10 months? What made you change to a different organization? Go to.
Yeah, so I'm not joined the organization to stay for 10 months. So this was a company which was in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, a company called HSCC. It's a good organization, quite good organization to work. They support many of the hospitals and other healthcare organizations to for consulting assignments, and my role was in HR. But what happened is that I think I maybe I it's open to debate, but I feel that HR and public sector companies are not valued in the organization. In public sector organization, unless the organization is very clear what they have to do with HR, it becomes a very monotonous and repetitive kind of job, and and the companies are very hierarchical in nature for whatever is the reason, because of the size and other things. So I did not feel great, and I thought better to move out than just be there. It was a secure job, but security I think is only a state of mind.
Yeah. It's a job, like it will be like safe, come and go out of thing, and then private is more of a get more experience. There are challenges, more complex challenges to solve.
There are PSUs are very great, and I think PSUs have a very positive thing. Like I worked for 9 years in my public sector. My beginning was from PSUs. I think the beauty of them is that they are very good training ground, and and the kind of culture that they have a big company mindset. Or at least the companies where I worked, they're a very big company mindset where they believe that you can take risk, obviously within the prescribed limit. And a lot of focus on trainings is there. So I think they are a good breeding ground for talent.
So when we talk about tenure, so currently when we say Gen Z is coming into the corporate world now, and they are not really loyal. I wouldn't use the word loyal, but they change very quickly these days. I mean, 1 year, 2 years, and they change. And I'm also a faulty. I'm also guilty of it. I've changed companies really quickly last 3-4 years. So how is it for you to handle Gen Z in the office like that? Is it difficult? Is it okay? I mean, how do you think about it?
Yeah. So I'll just take a step back. I think loyalty is outdated.
Right.
I want to say, why do we need to be loyal? We can only be loyal to power or to the king. And here we are in a democratic setup.
Yeah.
I would believe organizations are democratic, though they have very strong power equation. So, so a Gen Z looking out, say, I was reading somewhere that there is a average 18-month period of people
Yeah.
working in one organization or in one
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
I think we should look at it as a role and not the organization. If the organization is able to, offer a new role to an employee or talent every 2.5 years or every 2 years, then maybe there would be employees who would not even like to leave the organization. I have people in the organization who joined as management trainee and who are there for the last 11, 12 years. But if you see their career graph, they have been doing different roles every 3 years.
Right.
I think change is the currency.
Yeah.
And the change is not about changing the organization. Change is a currency means how do you hone a new skill? And training, a skill is not learned in the classroom, isn't it? Today you have a classroom, but you are sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so skill is not learned in the classroom.
Right.
And that's a question even to the schools and the colleges, because most skills are learned outside. And so if the organization is able to impart skills through offering various roles or cross-functional projects or stretch assignments, then I think talent will be retained. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you judge by screening the resumes if you have? So, do you judge people if they have very short stints, or would you be very unbiased towards?
No, so I don't judge, definitely. But it is not about me as an individual. I have also told my team again and again, and we take very joint decisions that we have a very clear thing that we don't even ask question that why there is a gap in your employment or your education. Because my own son, like who is working, he's studying in University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He took a 6 months break. He took a semester off. He went to Spain to play football.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so 6 months is a big period.
Yeah.
But he said that, and we never said no to him. And we are like middle class parents. So, but I knew that he really wanted to try his luck there or try himself there and then take a decision. Without trying, how can he take a decision whether he should study and fully, go for his education or build a career in football? Similarly, we have told our teams again and again that we should not judge people. We should ask them this question so that we understand their motivation. Their motivation is always to try something different. Maybe our organization is not that entrepreneurial in mindset that they will fit here well, or maybe we are quite entrepreneurial that can fit well. So I think this question should be not asked as investigation. We should be asked to just understand. And these are two different things. One is like I am investigating and putting you under scandal. And the other thing is that I'm just trying to be curious to understand what is your motivation, what is your driving factor for you to take a break or to maybe leave companies maybe in 6 months or 1 year or stay in an organization for 5 years or so.
So when we talk about skills over degree, so that is, I mean, leaders do talk about that, but when we talk about what happens on the ground level, I mean, the recruiters when they talk to stakeholders directly, and the stakeholders like, no, we need this degree. People, that person should be an MBA at least and must have experience in that particular domain. So even if the person has a relevant skills, but we overlook them because on ground level the things are very different. We can talk about it all we want to, but how can we change it on the ground?
That is a difficult question because, while you go to any place or you listen to any leader, any birth, they will say degree are so passe, and we only hire for skill. Your skills are passe, skills can be honed. We only hire for attitude and so on. But then the same corporates whose leaders have not done the graduation, they insist on a BE or a MBA or whatever. I think this is going to stay for some time. Why I'm saying, because still in India, the availability of graduates at any point in time is far more than say in Germany or in Singapore. So how does one beat it? Because okay, and I think not easy to beat it, but I think if you can enter the corporates or the industry as interns maybe, yeah, through somehow it's both you enter as interns and then and I think that there are various programs going on. One is called NAPS program, National Apprentice Promotion Scheme. If you enter, and then there are many chances of you getting converted or you getting an opportunity in the organization. So even if you are under that or whatever, you are able to break that thing. But yes, all said and done, that is a reality, and I'm waiting for it to, be removed. But people will still, stick to graduation degree or having a degree, certain degree, a certain percentage in your class 12 in graduation. And for entry level, it is going to be there for. I think the mindset has to change, but it is not changing. And also, since we don't have a very good criteria for
Judging.
for elimination. So when you go to a campus and you have 700 students or whatever, and you have to just choose some kind of criteria, the easiest one is just look into their degree or their marks or scores or whatever. Then your attitude and other things, they are not that visible. So I think only through programs like when you have corporate interaction, maybe through internship or through some kind of projects, live projects. These are the only way you can shortchange this or.
Can gamification in recruitment help in this?
So I think on hiring front we are doing a lot. Organizations are doing a lot. And there are new startups. They are coming with many offerings where you are, definitely gamification will help. Hackathons will help. So these are the places where the talent, irrespective of their high score or high CGPA or low CGPA, they would be able to make a mark. And still, I think there are things going on, but I think if you see in the recruiting space, in the tech space, many things are coming up as a new offerings.
Right.
Be it your recruitment interviews getting videoed or whatever, hackathons and gamifications. These are the one.
No, I've seen that technical aspect. I mean, when we talk about technical positions, things have changed because when I hire for technical, I don't look at degrees. I just look at the keywords, like if I'm hiring for Java developer, what skills he should have. But when we say non-technical hiring, then it is majorly that we look at the degrees, that person should be MBA or CA or this particular degree has to be there. But I think in technical aspects, we are progressing. But non-technical aspects should also come forward. I believe.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I was
yes, also show that there's a gap here. And I think those who are listening to us, they can look into this gap and come with some path-breaking product for us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so like your organization you're working it's acknowledged by Great Place to Work. So what makes organization a great place to work, and what are the challenges, like in your tenure during this the organization you have come up and complexities you have solved or created a pathway to inspire new people to catch up to your role or want to be at your role, they want to see something like this.
Yes, so what makes an organization a great place to work is the organization's culture. I believe it appears to be a very cliched statement, but culture is the only point or only, I think, a differentiator. You can have the same talent, in the same colleges or same education background or very similar kind of background. You can have access to capital, you can have access to technology. But then what culture is in the organization makes the organization a great place to work. And then who decides on the culture? And who is the one who lives the culture? And I think it is a leadership. And rarely I've seen in the organization where leadership jointly believes in the same culture, a similar culture, or similar behavior. Because while they speak about, having a democratic access to people, they speak about fairness, they speak about accessibility. But when it comes to numbers,
it doesn't.
organization is not meeting numbers in a certain month,
Mhm.
then how does the organization behave with people in that particular month?
Mhm.
Is most important
More
point. Would they trust them and try to take them all together
Mhm.
and say that let's uh, let's have some time, let's work together, let's solve the problem together.
Yeah.
Where the leadership is accessible,
Mhm.
or are they going through the easy route that numbers are down, so people who are like say, low performing, just remove them and bring new people. That's the easiest thing to do.
Right.
Yeah. So how do we build a great place to work? And I think it's not an easy thing. It takes
Mhm.
time.
Exactly.
It takes time. It also is consistency.
Yeah.
It also is openness, and it also is accepting that you have done mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've seen in very few occasions where uh, there is a youngster who makes a complaint against a
Mhm.
senior,
Mhm.
which means that the senior and the youngsters are locking horns
Yeah.
for some time on some issue. I've really seen that the manager would say that I made a mistake.
Right.
Rather,
Yeah.
it's a person who is lower in the hierarchy has to either
Has to be the
lead,
bigger person and say,
and
"Yeah,
then
I'm
the HR
sorry."
has to play a big role. Because we had examples like in the COVID time, when we were working from home, there were many people who didn't have access to hairdresser or barber. If you remember,
Yeah, yeah.
all the shops were closed.
Right.
So we had people who were very unshaven, who had long hair. And today we can, smile about it, but then it became a serious issue, and they were all working from home from various parts of India. And there was this manager who would make a very, wrong statement or very uh, statement saying that why your hair just come on camera, why is your hair long, are you from college, this is a corporate, don't behave like that, you're in a college. And these people obviously you feel very bad because if you're publicly
Yeah. Yeah. Publicly
targeted.
targeted, yes.
Yeah, and the manager is not considerate.
Mhm.
So one of the interns gave me a call, and he said that this person has spoken like this. When I spoke to the manager, obviously, what happens is that the issue is forgotten at that
Yeah.
time, and they believe that it's like a complaint. And then who is the person who has done the complaint? Let me remove.
Let me.
Because then they will come with not many reasons that the person is not good, he is not a
Yeah.
performer, he is acting smart,
Yeah.
he's very indisciplined,
Mhm.
and so
Come up
on.
with a lot of many
Yeah.
things.
So how do you approach to the manager,
Mhm.
keeping the manager's respect also into consideration,
Yeah.
and saying that uh, other things are okay, but in this case, can we deal it in different manner?
Yeah.
And I think that sensitivity of HR has to play.
Right.
Yeah, and in most companies, HR acts like a mediator.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're a mediator, then things will never get resolved because then you are just looking for a middle path,
Yeah.
which is not the best path at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can't keep everyone
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
You can't
we
keep
were
everybody
happy.
happy. Yeah. So here, how do we redress the problem?
Mhm.
The person who has called you, has he been listened to? Have you solved the problem? Have you at least made the manager change his or her ways? And if you're not doing it on time, then what is the kind of culture you are portraying? So the culture gets into problem
Mhm.
or into test only on these occasions. And also on the occasion, so actually we all work in private sector organization, most
Yeah.
of us. And in private organization we have hire and fire. It's such a regular thing,
Yeah.
Asked to leave is a common thing happening. As long as the company is very fair, why they're asking people to leave.
Yeah.
And how is that asking to leave process being handled,
Yeah.
I know of cases. HR and close the case. Generally, it happens this way, isn't it? In India, the asked to leave cases, we just seek a voluntary resignation.
Voluntary
Yeah.
resignation, yes.
Obviously, there's a package given or whatever. So here, the culture is at test. And I always tell manager, when you're going to meet this person to whom you are asking to leave, don't think that you are just another manager.
Yeah.
At that time, you are representing your organization.
Yes.
And the person who is being asked to leave should be a goodwill messenger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you handle that? Are you talking about performance or are you talking about the person? Because the confidence of the person who's being asked to leave shatters.
Yeah.
All said and done. And it has to be handled very sensitively. So such cases where you are doing a sensitive conversation, a difficult conversation, a conversation around performance,
Yeah.
not being done properly. It's very easy to praise people. When you're praising people, you can go to extra mile, and that is not the organizational culture at test. Yeah, when you're praising people, if you're praising everybody, all and sundry, then it means nobody is being praised.
Yes.
You have to have that differential praising. Similarly, when you're taking such kind of difficult decisions or difficult conversation, how you are able to hold the person's dignity with respect and empathize with the person. These are all the litmus tests for the company's culture.
Empathy and agile. How agile is the person and how
Empathy.
empathetic is the person?
Yeah.
Yes.
So one of your LinkedIn posts mentioned when you mentioned that business of HR is business. So can you elaborate on that? I mean, what is it?
Let's say that because no, I'm just asking you that what would have been the context. I said the business of HR is business.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know what was the context on which I said, but I believe the business of HR is people.
Okay.
Yeah, and the business of HR is people, and if we say, we talk about business partnering.
Could be a fault at my research team
No,
also.
fine. Yeah, but I think these are evolving
Yes,
statements.
yes,
We keep on evolving, and it's not a binary. It's a
Constant
continuum.
change, yeah.
So when we say the business to business leaders, I always say that business of HR is people. Even if I'm a business partner, my business is people. And for running business, we have business leaders.
Yes, yeah.
So when you are sitting in the boardroom as HR, you're not a clone. You're not talking about business language because in that case, I'm sorry for this.
No problem.
No
So
problem.
in that case, when you are, you have to bring the stakeholder who is not present in the entire boardroom.
Yeah.
And so business is talking about customers. They are not present in the boardroom. So they are representing customers' voice.
Yeah.
Similarly, HR, when they are present in the boardroom, have to represent the people's voice. Are they being respected? Are they being taken care of? Are we just using them for current job? Or we are also looking to, make them employable by enhancing focus on trainings. There are many organizations who don't have good focus on learning and development, but I think it's very important because
Learning.
we have some kind of commitment towards our employees, including you and me, that we need to be employable. So if I am very good, say in payroll, and you are as manager are making me just work on payroll for so many years, and one day we decide we have to outsource payroll, then I'm out of job, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what have you done for me to make me employable? So 3 years in payroll, now you say that, try something else also. Maybe if you're good in payroll, which means you are good in numbers, you can do some more data analysis or whatever. And that's the reason when I say the business of HR, obviously it is people or business through people.
Right.
Yeah,
Business
if
through.
I can rephrase it.
Could be our fault as well.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So when we talk about boardrooms and HRs in boardrooms specifically, and we have been fighting for the seat on the table, that we say. So I think COVID has played a role in it and gave us the seat. But what after that? What after we get the seat on the table? I mean, do we rule the table sometime? Is there a possibility?
I think the job of HR is to get things done through people, isn't it? And I think we have been talking a lot about having a seat at the table. And I think we are only there.
Mm.
We have a seat at the table.
Mm.
Yeah. And how do we retain the seat, which means how do we talk sense of business, how we are able to align, how fast we are able to align the business strategy with people's strategy. Which comes first? I won't say it's a chicken and egg situation, but definitely it is business strategy which keeps on evolving, and then you have to align your people strategy. So it could be maybe skilling, it could be like buying talent at time, it could be maybe by fostering talent within the organization. It could be by restructuring, and which also means resizing the organization, which would also mean maybe you are asking people to leave or to redeploy them. Not leave in the sense of leaving the organization, but leaving their current roles to be redeployed. So, in a nutshell, I would say we have a seat at the table, and we almost every time we had a seat at the table, I think we need to um justify it. We need to work towards it, and we have to understand business and contribute towards that. Otherwise, you can always be there, but be very silent about it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen that in many organizations they have this monthly reviews. Almost all organizations, even at a very senior level, they have monthly reviews. In organizations where I have worked, and we have a lineup of. So when we have this monthly review, we have a lineup of the CFO speaking, the business leader speaking, then the CIO speaking, and then in the end, just before we are leaving, we have the CHRO. Yeah, and then it also shows that what is the priority of the organization. It does not mean that if you speak first you have a higher priority, but it can't be always that you are speaking in the end. All topic is coming at the end. So I have worked with CEOs where uh, we would start the town halls with health and safety, updates. I had a organization where I have worked where the P&O would start their presentation or their updates, and then we had business update. So I think it's important to see it.
So I was listening to the podcast as well, and you were talking about the challenges you have faced when you started your career in HR, and in general also the challenges, especially with your personal life. So if you are comfortable talking about it, can you just let us know about that?
Now, I was think hard that what are the challenges that I spoke earlier. That I come with the new challenges, but
No, we are open to new
because-
challenges.
Yeah, I think the challenges have been more around lack of clarity. If I say from at this moment, but maybe I thought I was very clear in those days when I went to I had a rookie for my MPhil. I thought that no, I have to do something academics, publish a paper. And when I joined JNU, I was very clear that I had to do my PhD. So in terms of challenges, I think if I say that the challenge was that not having the right access maybe to get clarity about what I want to do, what will make me successful, and where is my interest lying, and obviously what will help me earn money or earn a living. When I joined my first job in Nalco in Bhubaneswar, it was a very small town in those days, and we were living in PG accommodation, and I think young girls coming for work in a city like Bhubaneswar in those days was not maybe heard or seen. So we had those kind of challenges where we had some neighbors who were more keen to know who are we, and trying to make some points around the dressing that we were doing, or we were like talking to our male colleagues, and we would invite them to our PG accommodation, which was not liked by the landlord. And if I see in the hindsight, I I don't feel so it was a very past experience. So today it doesn't hurt me, or but in those days I was very disturbed because of this, because you want to call your friends there, and the landlord is saying, and you know that is your private space, this is
Just
your
went
house,
through.
and just because you are not married, your parents are not around, it doesn't mean that you are less than any adult.
Yeah.
So those were the things. And then I think it happens. I think it happens maybe now also, maybe, but we are more open that young women are linked with many managers.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're coming up in your career, you make your career with your own mark. We are very clear about it.
Mm.
But then people don't. People talk at your back. Saying
Mhm.
that maybe you got a promotion because of this or that.
Yeah.
So these kind of things, obviously, they also fall to your ears, and maybe when you are growing up, you feel very hurt about it, or you feel bad about it. But in my style, I think I would definitely go and confront. So I have done a few kind of confrontation with
Right.
some colleagues of mine, and which make me today laugh. But I think that is the way my personality got built up, and maybe I was taken as a no nonsense character. Yeah. So these are the things that which will help you build. Maybe today you would think that I can handle in a different manner, but I just ignored it. But I think just because, and I believe when a woman stands for herself, she's not standing for herself alone. She's standing for many women.
Many women.
Yeah. So today, I think I did the right thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, and then there was decision, to leave a secure job in a public sector organization to a corporate private organization. And my father-in-law was very curious to know that why I'm making this shift, because people think that she's a woman, she would like to have a very safe, secure job.
Yeah.
But then I was somebody who would like that if in this organization I'm not making any difference,
Yeah.
or I don't like I had colleagues in that public sector organization who would leave their chashma or spectacles on the table, and they would be away for 2 or 3 hours, and I would say, and then the person will come back and say, suppose the name is Gopal ji, आप कहाँ थे? बोला, I was there. मेरा चश्मा यहाँ पे रखा है, so I was there in office. So these kind of culture you don't like. I didn't like to work in those culture, and so I made this shift. And I was very clear about it that I'll be successful because I know my job, and I learned to find a job. One example that I remember now, when I got married, my father-in-law was a great man. He is no more, but I think people who have supported me a lot, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, um, by not interfering. I think if you're not interfering, also it's a big support, and standing whenever being there for me whenever I needed them. Like when my son was born, my mother-in-law came to stay with me for a long time. But when I got married, my father-in-law told me that I should change my surname to Jha. My husband is a Jha, and my surname is Bohra. I'm from Uttarakhand. So he said that Jhas are very powerful. They are there in public sector organization. They are there in government organizations and so on. And this surname is very unknown kind of surname. So this will give you a lot of benefit in your life. And I just didn't understand. I understood what he was saying, but I found that that's a very shortcut way of life, and I said, no, I don't intend to change my surname at all. But then he never discussed it with me later on. He never came back with this point. He just presented it. He was a very open kind of person. If he had something, he would just say that this is your choice. But he came up with that idea, and he was obviously senior to me. He's my father-in-law, so I had to think a lot, but I was very clear. So I think this is a stand which I took, and I feel so good about it. Making a mark for yourself.
Right.
You may always say what is in the name, but then
There is.
this is what I would say. I think challenge where I have not been very successful, and I would, and I think I am becoming successful is stakeholder management. When you're working in a very metric kind of organization, and we work in heavily matrixized organization,
Right.
and HR doesn't have two bosses. We have a functional manager who somehow is never in India, could be somewhere in Shanghai or in Singapore or in Dubai, depends upon the organization where you are working. And then you have your, strong line reporting or your
Line manager.
administrative manager or geography manager, whatever you call. And HR doesn't have two bosses. Every business leader is their boss in the sense that, they are the stakeholder and who make opinion about you,
Yeah.
who will go and give feedback about
Yes.
you, and who may also give an adverse feedback about you.
Mm.
So I generally encourage them to at least come to me, and if things are not working, at least they should first tell and
Yeah.
not go to the CEO directly. But maybe it is their level of comfort, maybe at times. So here is what I can say, that as HR leaders, young HR leaders, we should definitely learn how to be very proactive and talk to the business leaders so that they don't go to the CEO against you or things are not happening. Rather, you should be so accessible to them that you first solve it together, then maybe escalating it. So this is one of the learnings that I think that we need to have, and where I learn it by trying and failing and facing this problem of escalations and so on.
Yeah.
Um, um, and besides this, I think working in different kind of culture is also a challenge that you face as HR and as particularly in global organization. Particularly when people have a mindset, that having said that, we Indians are everywhere in the world,
Yeah.
We have, the British Prime Minister who has an Indian origin. But yet, I think somewhere, maybe not in IT, but in HR and in other streams, we are still trying to make our mark.
Yeah.
And have an acceptance. And at times, your managers, very senior managers in the, if you're working in a multinational organization, they have a very condescending, approach to you, that everything is good about you, but then they will not maybe at times promote you or give you the role that you would like to
Possibly
take
have.
up. So in that case, I think the learning is that you have to ask for it. You have to keep on asking for
Yeah.
a different role. You have to keep the dialogue open, so that your aspiration is very clear, is made very clear. You don't need to keep on waiting. Yeah. But obviously talking in the right circle. So if you are only talking about a role change, then at times you are also seeing that you are not in the role, and it also goes against you. That this
Yeah.
person is not in the role, and you keep on asking. So it's important how do you build, how do you do a very balanced approach, that you do best in your role, you're able to show all the successes, and then you ask for a different role.
No, yes.
One challenge that I have faced and then had a learning around it is that, and I think in the book How Women Rise, that book like that, it's told that women should learn. And what I'm saying is that many times I thought I'm doing such a great job, my manager would be aware of it,
Right.
and he would be knowing, she would be knowing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
because I'm meeting people, I'm trying to meet outside consultants also to understand what is available in the market,
Yeah.
bring those products in,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to form new alliances with various new agencies or institutes, and coming up with new ideas. But what happened is that during appraisals, I found that I got a couple of times with average rating, and I found that half the time my manager was not even aware what I'm doing. And so important, and I would say this to all professionals, that it's very important that the biggest stakeholder is your manager, and they would not know what you are doing unless you ensure that you have a very regular meeting with them. And in your meeting, you need to present. Obviously, you have to set the expectations very clearly so that this is what is expected from you. And then you keep on updating that, on this topic, I have done this. You may not be asking for help, and many things you're doing it without asking for help. But if they are not aware, then then there is no other way
No.
for them to know that this is your contribution. And people who are maybe introverts or people who don't want to tom-tom, they would find it difficult. This is not about tom-tomming. This is about being very clear that this is where you are going. These are the challenges you have faced. This is what you have brought to the table this month, and this is what you're doing in the next month.
Just out of curiosity, I want to know what was your first paycheck, right?
First paycheck. Right. I don't remember that. The first paycheck. So I was earning from a very early time. After my giving the school days only, I was taking tuitions. Yeah, I wanted to be on my own. But then obviously you can't call that as a paycheck. It was not a great amount, but it was enough for me to buy books. Then I was having this JRF scholarship. It was around 1,800 rupees, per month, and 7,500 a year for buying some books. But paycheck, I need to. It's a good question, but I think not much. Must be maybe 12,000. I think so. Yeah. I have to look into my paycheck.
Check the PF for that.
No, but I think it should be around that, maybe.
Right. So the award books, I believe you are a David reader, right? So can you recommend some books for HR, let's say? The good books are
Okay, but there are many books. So if you talk about HR books, there are books around from Dave Ulrich. There are good books. Yeah, and they keep on coming every year. There are new titles. But otherwise, I like a book called Stroll.
Law of Happiness.
Yeah, by
Russian name.
yeah, it's very high end.
Right.
And there are books around future of work, and quite interesting books around future of work. I'm forgetting the book's name, the author's name rather, but there's the book about some bushmen, how they live their lives or how they are still living their lives, and how it is as on today where we have a 9 to 5 kind of work, and this is not the work that we as a species we evolved to do this kind of in a very narrow way of working. So these are the books, and the books on history also interest me.
So are you a fictional reader?
Fiction, yeah. I've looked into a lot of fiction and stuff.
I have only I tried reading non-fiction, but it's a difficult. I mean, I can't step into someone else's shoe and see what they have done. I would rather make mistakes and learn from myself. So I love fiction. I'm all in for it. Especially Indian mythology has been a lot of recent. I've been attracted to Indian mythology.
Okay.
Yeah. So apart from that, if HR was a superhero, what
Superhero.
What superpower would you give that?
Okay, so if you are saying like if you're a superhero and what is superpower?
Yeah, you would give him one. This HR superhero.
I don't know. I understand that it's a difficult question, but I think I would like the superhero or the heroine to have a power of being so invisible. They can go to any of the meeting and they can infiltrate into your MS Team, Zoom call, and just listen and see what is happening.
What they're discussing? Who's planning to resign?
Yeah, they're discussing. Yeah.
When you work like more, do you like work from home? You like work from office, or you are into between say life and work?
Yeah, so I'm from the old school of thought where we have worked always in the office. But I think I believe in hybrid working. Yeah. Because there are so many benefits of working from home. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And people there are managers in my organization also who are saying that everybody should come back to work. I think this dependency of it, unless I see it, I won't know whether they are working or not. Is a myth, or is something which is the manager's problem. They should be able to performance manage somebody on results and not with just being available or being seen. So I'm a big boundary of hybrid working, flexibility, but more or less working maybe together and finding out platforms of collaboration.
So what are your thoughts on sending memes on official emails?
The memes are very infectious and they have a power to tell, the entire story.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on sending them on official emails? Would you be on for it?
I think so. Yeah. HR also plays a role on, and there is a reason, on this. So I'm okay for that.
Okay.
I think one should try it out. And I'm saying that, we always say that, communication should be sent by HR. But I've seen the most unread mails.
But
When I go to other systems, is my mail unread mails. Only my team members are reading my mail. So it's important that
out of courtesy.
most of communication, if you can do through me, I think it will be so creative.
Right. So I mean, people started companies have now people manager, happiness manager. So I just try to say word into that also.
Yeah.
That they're taking care of communications in a fun way, so that people get staying.
So, but this is what I was saying that happiness also has evolved. 20 years back or 10 years back was like once in a month organize birthday parties or whatever. Once in a month, as if you have a switch off, switch on for fun. While fun should be an integral part of your work. Also, if you are studying, if you are enjoying, then it's fun. If you are say meeting somebody as a part of your job also, if you're meeting somebody or interviewing, and if you are really enjoying, then you would like to understand the person.
Right.
And the talent from where he or she is coming from and do the best fit. Yeah.
Okay, so wow. It means so what would you do to reduce the Monday blues? I mean,
Yeah.
people don't.
Declare Monday as holiday.
Then I will start having Tuesday blues.
So what will come on Tuesdays? So, Monday blues, I think, but we used to have Monday blues kind of, the Monday blues busters in the form of doing some games on the floor. We used to do it for a very long time in my organization. But I think that most of us look forward to Monday because Monday is the day of meetings. But even the hybrid working, Monday is the day to connect, to do meeting, to tell your team what is the plan for the week. You also get aligned to the leadership team and talk about what are the opportunities or what are the priorities. And then Monday is a busy day, so Monday blues. Unless you have a very long Sunday, then you have Monday blues.
I have Monday blues on Friday nights.
Especially in my organization, I have to go to all of this Gurgaon. So I dread a lot. I don't want to go to Gurgaon and travel back from Gurgaon to Noida. It looks somewhere up in task. Right. So the question I would want to ask at that point of time was, what are the lamest or funniest excuses you have heard in the office? Like someone coming into reading to office and the lamest, funniest you have heard till now.
I mean to say, people are so smart that they would give it so genuinely the reason. And since we have been told HR should be non-judgmental, we believe in that.
We know some that person is like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we had this person who, and she was my team member who would write to me that on Mondays around 7:30 she would write to me that I'm not keeping well. No. Yeah. So and she would write that for the weekend I'm going fever since weekend, so I won't be able to start. So I would always tell her later on that inform me beforehand. So that's okay. But there was this person in my team who told me thrice or 4 times that she had a flat tire. And when I came to know, she never had a car. So I don't know whose flat tire she was talking about. And then she was coming by metro, so metro front was there.
Actually, metros have flat and in general, yeah.
Okay.
They don't have that. They're just flat rounds.
Okay, that's right.
She was not like.
She was the wrong.
Yeah. So now next week I ask about some acronyms that Gen Z is using. So would you? I hope that will be answer that.
I'm not very sure I can answer that, but I'm open to learn about that. And try to maybe use it in my next conversation.
Yeah, I won't be asking all the corporate ones. Let's just start with GOAT. GOAT.
Yeah,
That's
very
it
good.
from here.
Yeah, so it's like greatest of all the time. Something like that. Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
So yeah, so ROI pen.
So like, not
Basic.
passing out loud, maybe something like, yeah.
In half some.
Who-
YOLO. YOLO. Yeah.
You?
YOLO. YOLO.
Yeah, you only live once.
She knows a lot. She's a pro. You are active on Instagram. Yes.
Okay. So I have a son who is 20-year-old, so though he doesn't use, but yeah, he irritates me with those, small messages. And I say, what does it mean? Yeah.
Right. So if you had to give these jobs to some Bollywood, are you going who was you like?
Yeah, I do voice meaning this one.
So if you had to give some
Oh, I can't say no. Yeah, who doesn't what Bollywood? People have been talking about house movies and so on, and going gaga about it. But I think nothing can beat Bollywood because they have always been so diverse. Always had a very, very, very classic movie on Bollywood talking about so many various themes of life, and you all have masala movies of it. But Bollywood has always been the
what was the last movie you
Bollywood movie that I saw. I don't think it can be called as Bollywood movie, but I saw a movie called Kala. That is long time back, maybe a year back. Kala, K-U-A-L-A. It's a nice movie of Irfan Khan's son also in that movie.
That three actors.
Yeah, it's a good movie. So that one I saw. But I saw this Made in Heaven. Though it's not a Bollywood thing, but I just binge watched that.
So if you had to give Alia Bhatt a job in your company, what job would you?
No. Yeah. I think everybody does Alia for various reasons.
Right.
Even in the new commercial, Shah Rukh and Amitabh are coming together and they have this act of biryani and then they say Alia and they run around. Even if they say Alia, nobody will run for Alia. Maybe Deepika would have been the case in that case because Deepika has more star power according to me.
She does.
Or even Priyanka Chopra for that matter. But Alia is a very sweet, very bubbly, and I think she can do any job perfectly. Yeah, but according to me,
So
you
you are
decide that-
perfectionist.
she's not perfectionist, but she will be able to mold herself. So I think she's like a hydra to me. She can take various shades. So which role I can give to her would be so I think in the which role I think this takes such a long time. I really have to hire her. I don't need to hire her. She's not coming to me for. So I think she can take the role of HR at any point in time because she is so good in
Communication.
yeah, and she appears to be a person who empathizes, and she has a mass appeal from a younger generation to older generations.
Yeah. And Samad.
Salman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Salman and they were security guards.
Second person said what? Last one was said security. Yeah, it's a security, good security person.
Okay, but I've given a different role.
No, this is great also.
Yeah.
So,
John.
John Abraham. I don't think we have
thank you.
we have the role for him in the organization. It's a enough boy, but I think he's changed his personality, and I think he is quite scientist. John Abraham. I think he make a great CEO.
Yeah.
And he has to listen to people when he has a mass appeal.
Say last Madhurich.
Following yeah, and are you from Gen Z? Because you're talking about all this. Madhuri.
We went to Madhuri from Alia Bhatt.
Yeah. The role for Madhuri, is already there.
You party once.
Madhuri is a great dancer, right? And I find her, entire, body of work very limited. She has not done various kind of genres. So, if I think so, which would requires people to do a jig, maybe a CIO role. Yeah. Okay.
So let's wrap, and the final question would be: what advice would you give to the people who are transitioning into HR from different jobs, right? Or maybe freshers into HR? What would you advise them to look out for, or do something?
So having worked in HR for such a long time, we know that HR has to have a very good understanding about business. I think a stint in business always helps. There were people who are coming to HR from other streams. I think they should not think of being with HR for a very, very long time. They should work with HR, then be open to and take a very business kind of role, and then come into HR and then leave and come to HR. So they should not think that HR, they start with HR and they end up in HR. It's not a very linear curve that where you work as a specialist, then you grow, and then you just take up the role as a CHRO. They should be open to take up different roles. And also somehow HR is now having super specialization, right? Yeah, so a TA person, or somebody who's a TM person, somebody who's a COE. And there should be more interconnection between these. And I think they should ask for it, and they should think of, having those multiple skills. They should not think that, I have to just stick to one.
Also, personal question I was talking to you before we started. How I'm just as I'm trying to transition from TA to HR, what advice do you have for me? How can I do that? What would you say step?
Okay. Yeah, so you have done TA role, and TA is, I think, most important role because it's a gatekeeper for ensuring that the right talent comes to the organization. Also help in right fitting the talent. So the talent is there, intern is there, and we say that okay, you will fit here, where you will fit here, there. So you are not just saying, you're not just neglecting or selecting them. You start thinking of being the right fit, and then only a TA being successful. And to business partner role, I think, and the key here is to understand business, which a TA person understand very well from the point of view of talent. I think here, having the pulse of people will also help you. So, I want you to understand people and are able to tell them business that your people need this, and something around com will also help you because so that not a COE kind of com, but doing some com benchmarking. Because as a business partner in HR, we are supposed to do com benchmarking of speakers. Yeah. So that will also help you. Yeah, and also understand that how do we plug in and play with people in the business.
Right.
Yeah. Talking business language also we help.
I just put it plugin every now and then for me.
Yeah, I think Schenker is a big organization. So yeah. But I heard from you that you love your organization very much, right? And you like it in your career.
Of course, I came from an IT consulting, IT small company. So when I shifted, the culture and change was dramatically huge because the company I was working in was really compared to 10 and leave at 6. There was nothing in between. We just do your work and leave. But if one of us went to office, and it was during Navratras last year, and during the same time.
Okay.
And I went in there and like 5 p.m. everyone just switched on their laptop. I was like, what is happening? They went to the cafeteria. And there was a choreographer there, and they started teaching Garba and Tatya. So that was like a huge shock, cultural shock for me. What is happening here? Why people are dancing? I mean, after 5 to 7, 2 hours, people were dancing, having fun, and drinks and everything. I was like, this is not something I'm used to. And then that thing kept, it was like continuous, something keeps happening, parties keep happening. So, yeah, they kept me engaged, that I would say.
And it's very happening culture.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.